Hi, it's Bumble. Welcome back to my channel. So, I don't really watch that many movie adaptations of Shakespeare stuff. The last one I watched was A Midnight Summer's Dream. It was a movie of it from the 90s, and that was pretty good. I'd love to watch that again. But Much Ado About Nothing, I didn't really know anything about it. Like, my only context of it before watching was there was this performance of it from the mid-2000s with David Tennant and Catherine Tate, and I was like, okay, cool, I'd love to see them in pretty much anything after watching them in Doctor Who. And I've watched clips of it and stuff, but I feel like I couldn't. And the thing with that one, what's cool with it is it's set in the modern day. They have very different costumes, I guess, from how it would probably usually be. But I feel like I couldn't, from what little I saw, I couldn't really get into it. But then with watching this, because that's just the hard thing with me, which was watching stuff based on Shakespeare, when they have that Shakespearean original dialogue, it's kind of hard to follow. I even remember being forced to read Romeo and Juliet when I was in high school, and even though it was one of those books that had the more modern English translation, as I'll call it, it was still kind of tricky for me. I also just don't really like Romeo and Juliet. The only version of Romeo and Juliet that I actually like is Romeo and Juliet. Those movies are pretty good, and they have Elton John. But anyway, with this one, I thought okay, is this gonna be tough for me to follow? Am I gonna get bored? I was kind of worried. You know what? I was doing okay because, oh my gosh, the acting in this was so good that I mean, they're talking in a way where sometimes I didn't really completely understand all the time what they were saying, but I was able to get the meaning through it just because the acting was that. I mean, of course, sometimes I could figure out what the meaning of a lot of things was, but from the acting, that really helped. Oh my gosh, this cast was so good. I didn't even recognize all of them either. I actually kind of forgot about some of them, some of the actors that I recognized until they popped up. Michael Keaton is in this, and it takes, I think, at least an hour or something for his character. I don't even remember his character's name. And I was like, what's Michael Keaton doing in this movie? Because there's a lot of British people and stuff in this, or actors trying to do British accents. I don't know how many of them are British and stuff. But then it's really funny because you'll have Keanu Reeves in this, and actually he's the one person whose performance I didn't like in this. If I'm honest, I'll talk about that more in my notes. But yeah, I think other than him, I thought everyone else did really well, actually, especially the actors for Benedict and for Beatrice. Like Emma Thompson, I've seen in a lot of stuff. I think both her and Kenneth Branagh, I think it says his name is. I've never seen him in anything, but now I kind of want to, because him playing Benedict was just so good. Of watching their two characters where they don't really like each other at the beginning. They're kind of disgusted with each other and always firing insults, and then they end up sort of being tricked into becoming lovers, and then they're oh wait, I think I actually do like this person. And then once they end up confessing their feelings and stuff, oh, it's so good. They just get so into these roles and everything that it's really fun to watch. Like I said, everyone, I think, except for Keanu Reeves, does really well, but those two especially just knock it out of the park. It's also kind of weird watching this too. I think it's from the early 90s, if I remember. I'm gonna have to Google that later. I'll put it in the title, how sometimes I put the year in there, because I'm assuming with this story there's probably a bunch of movie adaptations from it. This was just the one that I stumbled on Tubi. I didn't even plan to watch this. I finished Frogman, and I was like, okay, I got time for another movie, and I was like, oh hey, I'll watch this. I recognize some of these people. I'm curious about it. Glad I watched it. It was really cool. But yeah, they're all so young in this too. Like I've seen Keanu Reeves and Denzel Washington like this young, but not Emma Thompson. I mostly know her from like movies from like the 2000s, so that kind of surprised me, seeing her so young. Anyway, but yeah, this was fun to watch. I'm kind of glad I watched it by myself. Not that it gets to whatever where you wouldn't want other people in the room, but I was just surprised that like literally at the very start of the movie, it starts with all of these people getting like changed and bathing. There is like a ridiculous amount of naked people at the start of this movie. Like you don't see them from the front or anything, but I was just like, whoa, that's a lot of butts there. But I mean, other than that, there isn't really like anything I would have had to been concerned about or whatever. But it was just enough at the beginning where I was like, okay, I think I have to like take a note about that. Anyway, I want to talk about Denzel Washington for a minute. I've mostly seen him in like really serious movie, like action movies or dramas. I guess this counts as a drama. I kind of view it as more of like it's a drama. It's got some romance. It's kind of like a period piece. But this is kind of like I feel like more of a comedy than a drama. Not as much of a comedy as Midnight Summer's Dream, but this one's like pretty funny actually. But yeah, I usually see Denzel Washington in more serious stuff. Not that his character's like super funny or anything in this, but it was cool to see him in a genre I normally don't see him in. And you know what, like I mentioned, a lot of the cast like sounds British and stuff, and Denzel Washington, well, him and Keanu Reeves, they both speak in like their normal voices and stuff. It's kind of interesting comparing their performances in this, especially how they sound saying like all this like Shakespearean dialogue and stuff. Like Keanu Reeves just feels like he stands out way too much. It kept throwing me off every time he opened his mouth. I want to say I do like him as an actor and stuff. I'm just kind of dunking on his performance specifically here, not in like everything, you know? But Denzel Washington just speaking in his there's, I don't know how to describe it. There's something about hearing just his own voice saying all of this dialogue that fits so well. I was like trying to tell my mom about it because she like came into the room at one point and I was watching, and she was also commenting on like, wow, a lot of these actors are like really young in this movie. Well, I don't know how old they are, but like a lot of them look like younger than I've seen them in some movies. But I was trying to tell her about Denzel Washington. I was like, why does everything just flow so easily for him with this dialogue and stuff? It just fits really well. Anyway, it's the same for like Emma Thompson too. I feel like her saying all of this dialogue, it just flows well. A lot of the comedy in this definitely comes from the characters Benedict and Beatrice. They're just constantly insulting each other, not throughout like the entire thing, but throughout most of it, especially at the beginning of it. The actors look like they're having fun with it as well. Unfortunately, I should have like had a separate note page of like some of the funniest lines that the two of them have. It's pretty funny. But you're gonna have to just like trust me on that or watch it yourself, you know. But that's pretty good. And then there's this party scene. It's a scene where all the characters are at a party, and they all have to wear these masks. It's like a masquerade party. And there's a lot of close-ups of just like the different masks and stuff. I mean, when they're on people's faces, they're not like on a wall or whatever. All of those mask designs looked really cool, honestly. And the characters at the party, they all just look like they're having so much fun. And then it gets kind of dramatic. There's a character named Claudio. Because the thing with this is like it's like characters are like falling in love with each other and stuff. There's this character named Claudio who's in love with this girl named Hero, and there's this part. It's one of those kind of misunderstanding scenes where it's like someone who's in love with someone sees their crush talking to somebody else but can't hear the dialogue. It's like one of those. And Claudio looks like so completely betrayed seeing Hiro talk to this other character. I don't remember what the name of Denzel Washington's character is, but it's like the two of them are talking further away and Claudio just looks like completely destroyed. And you later find out it's like a misunderstanding and that Denzel Washington's character is trying to be like the wingman, trying to like get them together and stuff. But I think, yeah, the acting in this movie is one of the strongest things, where the characters will just have all of these like monologues and stuff, or will just look so emotional. It's crazy. There's this one part where there's this guy who's singing in the middle of this like courtyard by this fountain and stuff. I don't know what the song was. Oh yeah, this movie takes place in Italy. I think the song was an Italian. I don't know Italian. But it was really pretty, and I liked. I mean, it's like kind of part of the story, but or not really part of the story. It's like this guy is singing, and the characters are. I didn't realize it was supposed to be like a performance for the other characters. I thought it was just singing, and the plot just like completely pauses for that, and there's like this it's like this continuous shot where the camera is just going around this fountain as this guy is singing, and the camera's not like focused on the singer or anything. You don't even see the other characters like really listening or anything. It's just all these people in this courtyard. I thought that was pretty nice, actually. It's like the movie kind of stops itself to force you to listen. But I'm gonna have to look up that specific song. I thought the soundtrack in this was really nice as well, but whatever that specific song was, it was really good. There's some physical comedy in this as well. There's this one there's these two scenes. They're pretty similar, where it's like Beatrice and Benedict, they're hiding behind hedges, and they're hearing these other characters. It's like a plot by the other characters to try to get the two of them together, where they're making up these rumors of like, oh, did you hear Benedict's actually really in love with Beatrice? And it's funny with like those two scenes where it's like one of those characters behind a hedge and they're like listening and stuff. They happen at like completely different points in the movie, but both of the characters, they're like so shocked and then realize, maybe I do actually like this person or whatever, or I might return their feelings after all. I like when it's Benedict's turn for that scene, which I think his goes first. He's like sitting in a chair and he overhears someone saying that like Beatrice might be in love with him, and he just like completely falls through the chair. That was pretty funny. And then he gives this whole monologue where he ends up hiding behind this bush, or it's like a really big hedge or something, of trying to decide if he's like actually in love with Beatrice and processing what he's hearing. I thought that was one of the like better kind of monologues in this. It was pretty cool to watch. And then Michael Keaton, like I said, it's like an hour into the movie. That might not be completely correct, but it like takes a while for his character to show up. It's really weird watching him in this, where it's like watching Beetlejuice without the makeup and the green hair, without him being in the costume. That's like basically his character. And I've never read Much Ado About Nothing, so I don't know if his character is just supposed to be like that or he's just doing a bit, but it was really weird, because that's probably the movie I've seen him in the most, out of like rewatching his movies and stuff. And it's like the same voice he does for Beetlejuice, and it doesn't help that his character looks kind of I'm trying to think, kind of little yucky. Looks like he probably smells. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of the right way to say it. He looks like he needs a bath or something. His teeth look kind of gross and stuff. And that, I mean, so like appearance wise, it kind of made me think of Beetlejuice a bit. I'm not saying he's like ugly or anything. I'm just saying his character looks kind of like, which is funny because like you see him on the front of this poster and he looks like normal and clean and stuff, but he doesn't look like that when you get to the scenes in the movie. But yeah, it's like watching him as Beetlejuice. He does like a similar kind of voice, especially because he's making all of these like super exaggerated faces, and it's like the way he moves around, it's not like he's walking to other characters. He's like kind of, he does that thing Beetlejuice does where he like kind of shovels along the screen. It's so weird because it's like the exact same kind of performance as like when he's playing Beetlejuice, but he just looks like regular Michael Keaton without like, you know, the green hair and the suit and the makeup and stuff, that it was like really throwing me off during like his first couple scenes. He doesn't have like a, he's a side character. He doesn't have like a ton of screen time compared to everyone else. He kind of becomes more important towards the end, actually. But yeah, that was a crazy part of the movie. I wasn't expecting that, especially because it almost feels like a change in tone a little bit. Like it just gets kind of more comedic. I mean, the stuff with the other characters is already kind of funny anyway, but it's a lot of like romance drama and stuff and things happening where this character is like treated as dead, and there's like a whole dramatic wedding and all these things happening, and then you go to the section with Michael Keaton's character and it just gets really goofy. But I did really like his performance. That's just like the best way I could describe it. And then there's this wedding scene where Hiro and Claudio, they're like the secondary couple in this basically, and they have this wedding, and Claudio thinks that Hiro had cheated on him, and it turns out to not be true. And you find that out like, or the characters do, like all the way at the end or something, and Claudio makes like a big freak out at their wedding and starts yelling at people and destroying things. The wedding scene is honestly really crazy. Like Hiro's just like full on crying, and her dad is also there, and I think her dad tries to fight Hiro or something, which I wasn't expecting that. The wedding scene was pretty good. It was just like wild, honestly. And then the part when Beatrice and Benedict, when they confess their feelings and stuff, that was pretty good. It's not like the final time it happened in the movie, it's just kind of the first time it does. And there's a part of it I really liked where Benedict is, it's like towards the end of the scene, is telling Beatrice like, oh, I love you, I'll do anything for you, and she immediately says, like very seriously, there's like a close-up on Emma Thompson's face, and she's like, I need you to kill Claudio, and he's like, I'll do anything except for that. And she talks him into it and stuff. I don't feel like he needed a ton of convincing anyway. But then Beatrice gives this whole speech where she's like full on yelling and everything, saying how like she wishes she was a man so she could kill Claudio herself, and Emma Thompson gets like super into it and stuff, and Beatrice is like freaking out. That was really well performed too. And then there's a funeral scene because like Hiro is treated as if she's dead like after the wedding scene, but I didn't realize until later in the movie, like by the end, when the characters are like, oops, she was actually falsely accused the whole time, and her and Claudio were able to get together and stuff. I didn't realize that the other characters thought that she was actually dead. I thought like they have a whole like dramatic funeral scene for her and stuff. That was also a nice scene. But I thought they were just like, everyone was treating her as if she was dead because she was like unfaithful before the wedding and stuff. But no, they thought she was like actually dead. And now them thinking back to it and to that wedding scene, I'm thinking like, no wonder they all looked so somber and serious. I thought they were going to have to, you know, when someone does something really bad and they're like dead to you and stuff. I thought it was more like that. And then the scene at the end, actually the scenes when all the couples end up together, it's all like this big thing at the end was nice, where it's kind of funny where for Claudio and for Hiro it's like very dramatic and it's like a sweet thing where Claudio is told like, oh, she was falsely accused, it's fine, and Hero's like standing and there's a close-up on Claudio and he's kind of like hugging her around like her stomach or something, and he's like crying because they can get married now, yippee. And then it goes to like their little scene wraps up, and then it goes to Beatrice and Benedict, and there's like this whole crowd and they're yelling at each other and saying how they aren't actually lovers because they realize that all the other characters set them up into trying to get them to be a couple, and they're like, wait, so you weren't actually in love with me. But it just ends up being really funny, I think, especially because, like I mentioned, there's like a huge crowd of like all these other random characters and whatever, and some of the side characters, and they're all just like laughing at them as if they're watching a performance. But then it turns out that they believed they were lovers. They like wrote notes to each other, and they ended. I like that it's not a big deal with reading those notes. They just kind of silently read the notes and kind of chuckle to themselves or whatever, and then decide like, okay, we're gonna get married after all. I guess we're in love with each other, because they wrote like such sweet things about each other. I like that we don't get to see the notes. They don't get read to the audience. They're just not made known to the audience. It's not like a dramatic letter reading of, you know how it is in some movies where like one character will read this like super dramatic love letter to another character, and it's basically their romantic confession. I like that here it's just between, you know, the two characters that the letters are addressed to, that are involved with the ones in the relationship. I thought that was kind of a nice change, I guess. And then the ending's sweet. Everyone ends up together. I think from what I remember, because I watched this like earlier in the week. Actually, I think like last week. I feel like my weeks have been kind of like blurring together a little bit. I've been playing so much Tomodachi Life that the days and weeks are just kind of blurring for me this month. But the characters all end up kind of singing and dancing at the end, and that's kind of nice. But yeah, this was a good movie. I thought the cast was excellent. Performances were stellar. There was some times where it's like the actors just got so into it. I was just like fully invested, glued to the screen. It was crazy. I feel like I need to find out who the director is. I mean, it does say Kenneth Branagh's film. Okay, so he was in this as Benedict and probably director or producer, I'm judging from that subtitle. Okay, I gotta see what else he's done, because this was really good, honestly. But yeah, I'd highly recommend this. It's on Tubi. I mean, I think I'm posting this like half a month from when I'm recording it, so hopefully it'll still be there. If not, you could probably find it somewhere. But yeah, I really recommend this one. I don't know if this means I'm gonna watch like more movies based on Shakespeare's work. If I find some movie adaptations that are this good, hell yeah, but otherwise I don't know. But I mean, so far, like, this was good, and whatever version of A Midnight Summer's Dream, I remember Stanley Tucci was in it. I think also Christian Bale. It was from the 90s. I don't remember what year, but I did a video on that too. That's somewhere on this channel. It's in the movie list, so there's also that. That I think that one I actually liked more than this one. Like, I think visually or just like vibe wise, but this one I liked more, like cast wise and comedic wise. This was just kind of a funnier story. Even though I feel like with how completely ridiculous the plot of Midnight Summer's Dream is, you think that would be funnier, but I feel like this one just got more laughs out of me. But they're both pretty good. I'm down for more like Shakespeare comedies. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.